Welcome back to the Church Street Podcast. I'm Pat, this is Kenny, and today we're going to talk about the legalization of drugs in Canada with Mr. PhD in Economics, Llewellyn. First off, let's talk about all the drugs that are illegal in Canada.
Right. Well, I'll start off. Thanks for having me. Great podcast. Looking forward to having a good discussion about this and having a good talk. Great program we got going on here.
Thanks for coming.
Excited to be a part of it. So types of drugs that are illegal in Canada. Let's start off with the stimulants. This speeds up the nervous system. All right. Common stimulants found in Canada and around the world are Adderall, cocaine, and ecstasy. All right. Second would be opioids, powerful painkillers, resulting in a state of euphoria. All right. Common opioids are heroin, oxycontin, and codeine. Moving on to our depressants, these actually slow down the nervous system. Feel that everything is slowing down. Common depressants are Xanax and Valium. All right. The next one we're going to talk about is dissociatives. They alter one's perception of reality. So these are ketamine, PCP, something like that. Inhalants you can find as household items, such as paint thinner, glue, gasoline, nitrous oxide would be an example of the illegal one. Obviously, paint thinners aren't illegal, but and the last would be cannabis. We know cannabis is legal in Canada, but most countries still see it as an illegal drug. So we'll talk about it. Marijuana can deal with pain and discomfort in the form of oils or marijuana leaves, stuff like that. So that'll be the kind of drugs you're looking at that would be illegal.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And why do you think these drugs are illegal in Canada, and why do you think it should stay that way?
Yeah, so most of those drugs that I was talking about are illegal in Canada. This is due to the criminal justice approach that Canada looks to enforce. So in 1908, the Opium Act came into play, despite the fact that we know alcohol and tobacco can be actually argued as more harmful. But we know those are legal drugs in the country of Canada. We have the Good Samaritan drug overdose in 1996, which imposed people to call 911 when an overdose is seen. So we can see that Canada really enforces rules and regulations to really decrease the amount of drug-related deaths we see. So we know that the abuse of drugs leads to addictions to drugs. So obviously we're seeing lives are destroyed. So that's why you see a big reason why drugs would be illegal. But the question becomes, why is tobacco and alcohol legal if other drugs, like the ones we just talked about, why are those legal, right? And that's really due to, alcohol and tobacco have a deep history of usage, right? And they're too commonly used in the public, to ban them. It's just like riots and crazy stuff like that. Especially with Canada, we're not as much as the U.S., but we're freedom driven, right? Obviously we see in the U.S. a lot cheaper prices, so like that, less taxes imposed on people buying alcohol and tobacco products. But drugs are illegal to safeguard our health as human beings, and unfortunately as humans we're already really dependent on alcohol and tobacco. So again, we can't really ban alcohol and tobacco. Like I said, Canada has huge taxes on alcohol and tobacco products to prevent frequent usages of these drugs, right? So Canada's kind of moving in that direction, where you're going to put more taxes on and use that taxpayers' money to use that in different ways, credit the U.S., which we don't see as much. So although they won't eliminate forever, they won't eliminate the usage of alcohol and tobacco. They're always going to be around, most likely. But recently, we know that cannabis has been legal for recreational use in Canada. And the National Institute of Drug Abuse reported in the last couple of years, 70,000 deaths due to overdose in drugs in the United States. And the more shocking fact that would be 50,000 of them is due to opioids, synthetic opioids like fentanyl. So that's a 70%. That's a huge portion due. So unfortunately, it's common that fentanyl is added to other drugs like heroin, cocaine to increase the potency, right? So, just a small 2 milligrams of fentanyl can cause a fatal overdose. So, very small amount can be added to drugs like cocaine. So, cocaine isn't necessarily harmful in itself. It has harmful agents in it, but compared to fentanyl, it's much more lethal. So that would be the more lethal aspect of using drugs, just the fentanyl overdose. Therefore, drugs are illegal to safeguard human health. For the reason of safeguarding human health, I believe that current illegal drugs should remain legal for public use. I don't think we're there yet.
Yeah, wow. Considering current overdose deaths, do you think the legalization of drugs would help?
It's definitely a tough question to answer. I feel that's a good question.
Big question.
It is. I do think the legalization would help with the quality of drugs. Obviously, less fentanyl overdose and death. But on the other hand, the legalization of all drugs would incentivize trying drugs. All right. So, for example, since cannabis has been legal in Canada in 2020, the usage has gone up 46%. So, just a crazy amount of people are just trying because it's legal and it's available. Compared to before, the black market, you had to go a little more sketchy ways to find yourself some weed. So I believe that we would see similar cases, there are similar rises in cases in usage, if the legalization of all drugs would happen, a big spike in the uses of drugs for sure. That being said, we have to weigh the difference between fentanyl overdoses now compared to, if everyone was out, trying drugs and dropping into the influence of drugs and crime-related drugs, stuff like that. And for that reason, I don't think drugs should be legalized. Again, like just the increase in driving under the influence, stuff like that. I think that would outweigh. The better quality of drugs that the government could put out.
Yeah, that's a very valid answer. You think it could change the future though?
In the future, perhaps. I think it could. I think Canada should continue to discover the benefits of drug use, for sure. Such the benefits of cannabis, right? We see cannabis used in, to help pain, pain management, stuff like that. Cancer patients, going through chemo, stuff like that. It helps them in ways. And as research improves and our knowledge of drugs continue to expand, I think Canada can circle back to legalizing different drugs. If we could get that going and help public health. If it's going to benefit people like cannabis. If new research comes out and we see that different stimulants, and they improve, like cure cancer, right? And then we could circle back to legalizing them. So like that. So exactly. I think it's something to circle back to in the future for sure.
Yeah. Well, thanks for watching, everyone. Come back next week. We're going to talk about why the line at McDonald's is so big.
Yeah, it's a big one.
And on that note, Kenny, you have something to say? All right, that's it. See you next week, guys. Thanks.